В эти дни вы сражаетесь за наших людей на Донбассе, за безопасность нашей Родины, России. Россия дала упреждающий отпор агрессии. Это было вынужденное, своевременное и единственно правильное решение. Вы сражаетесь за Родину, за ее будущее, за то, чтобы никто не забыл уроков Второй мировой, чтобы в мире не было места палачам, карателям и нацистам.
6 kilometers. That is now the distance between the Ukrainian army and the Russian border in the east. While Vladimir Putin celebrates the 9th of May by giving speeches in Moscow, the Ukrainians are celebrating it in a different way. The large Ukrainian counterattack in the east is an absolute success. During the last couple of days, the Ukrainians have been pushing the Russians hard, both to the north and east of the city of Kharkiv. They have been using effective maneuvers, attacking the Russians when they least expected it, and retreating back to take cover when the Russians would fire artillery, simultaneously luring the Russians in and surrounding them. The attack to the east of Kharkiv has been the most successful of the two so far. Here, the Ukrainians have liberated 4 villages, while also pushing the invaders back so far that they are now standing only 6 kilometers from the Russian border. In the attack north of Kharkiv, the Ukrainians regained important road networks. This also means that Russian artillery is completely out of range and cannot reach Kharkiv anymore. This is really important, as the Russians have been shelling the city totally indiscriminately for months now. The counteroffensive also means that the Russian communication line between Belgorod and Izium has been seriously interrupted. This is a massive problem for Vladimir. And to make matters even worse for the Russians, the Ukrainian army is also successfully pushing towards Izium, a town that the Russians have been using as a forward operating base. This has given the Russians a whole lot to worry about. Heavy fighting is also taking place in Popasna. Reports are that the Ukrainians have fallen back to prepared defensive positions. Much of the city has already been completely leveled by indiscriminate Russian artillery fire. In the village of Belohovka, close to Severodonetsk, the Russian army again used terrorism against civilians. The whole village, around 90 people, were taking refuge in the local school. This is a fact that was well known to the Russians, but they didn't care. The school was deliberately targeted by a Russian aircraft. The explosion was so big that it completely destroyed the school building. It took firefighters more than 3 hours to extinguish the flames. In the meantime, they were also rescuing injured civilians who were trapped beneath the rubble. At least 60 innocent civilians, mostly elderly people, women and children, were killed in this absolutely meaningless act of terrorism. In Mariupol, a ceasefire was declared so that civilians would be able to leave the besieged Azovstal steel plant. However, the ceasefire was broken several times by the Russians. This is all that's left of one of the evacuation vehicles. It was hit by a guided Russian anti-tank weapon. The Russians are also still refusing to let injured Ukrainian servicemen leave to get urgent medical attention. Ukrainian defenders have also been working day and night, rescuing civilians trapped beneath rubble caused by indiscriminate Russian shelling. 100 of them, mostly women and children, were rescued by soldiers from the Azov battalion the day before the evacuation. The plant itself is still firmly held by the Ukrainians. It is, however, again being stormed by the Russians. They apparently started their attack before the last evacuation vehicle had even left the plant. Having failed to take the plant many times before, chances are that they'll fail this time as well. The Russians are still using a lot of manpower in Mariupol. It is disrupting their whole offensive, and it is thanks to only perhaps 2,000 heroic Ukrainians refusing to bow to the enemy of freedom. Now I want to show you why Ukrainian civilians are scared to leave their basements. Take a look at this video. You can clearly see that a Russian tank is firing directly into an apartment block. The tank completely destroys the building. A moment after, you can see civilians escaping from the basement before being taken by the Russian soldiers. Now let's head over to opposite land, or Moscow as it is also called. As you know, the 9th of May, or Victory Day, is the most important day in Russia. Vlad the Mad gave a speech in the Red Square. He, among other things, stated that the invasion of Ukraine was the only right thing to do, as the West is preparing for an invasion of Russia. Yeah, he is literally saying that we in the West are all hardcore Nazis, and that we were and are preparing to invade Russia. It is absolute insanity. He also again claimed Ukraine as historic Russian land and compared the Russian soldiers fighting in the Donbass region to the soldiers who fought the actual Nazis during World War II. He said that they are fighting to protect the motherland from Nazi invaders. He's literally spinning events around 180 degrees. It is Russia that has invaded a sovereign, democratic nation. There are no Ukrainian soldiers occupying any Russian territory. It is Russian soldiers who act like the Nazis did. They have deported thousands, perhaps 1 million of Ukrainian civilians to camps in remote parts of Russia against their will. The Russian army has leveled entire villages and cities. It is Russian soldiers who have forced themselves on Ukrainian women. It is Russian soldiers who have executed random civilians in the streets by shooting them in the back of the head. And it is the Russians who have dumped thousands of murdered civilians into mass graves. So as I said, the only ones acting like actual Nazis here are the Russians. All in all, Putin used his speech to try and delegitimize the Ukrainian people by linking them with Nazism and to make it look like he had no choice but to attack, as Russia was in imminent danger of a Western invasion. For a speech given by a state leader during a war, this could be considered pretty underwhelming. What he didn't say, however, might be more interesting. Many people, including myself, had been speculating that Putin would have used the occasion to formally declare war on Ukraine, making it possible for him to mobilize the Russian reserves. That didn't happen. However, there's a very big possibility that this is only the silence before the storm. There are absolutely no indications that Putin is about to back down. If anything, his speech has cemented that into stone. But with the Russian army failing so miserably, he will have to do something more drastic soon. He has already painted a picture of Ukraine and NATO as Nazis invading the motherland. He is preparing the Russian people for a big escalation in the war. Whether that means formally declaring war and mobilizing the reserves, or more terrifying, using a tactical nuclear weapon on Ukrainian territory, we don't know. Something is about to happen. And the only person who knows what is Vladimir Putin. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please go and give it a like. If you want more content like this, please go and subscribe to my channel.